Hi, and welcome to the Access Direct Opening Bell, your essential pre-market podcast. In just minutes, get key global updates, overnight trends, and market-moving factors that set the tone for the day. Whether you're a seasoned trader or just someone tracking the markets, this is your go-to briefing to stay ahead at all times. So let's dive straight in.
Good morning on a Friday, and we will start with US stocks, which fell on fears of AI-related capex spending re-emerging. The S&P 500 dropped to finish 1.1% lower at 6,720, while the Nasdaq 100 declined 1.9%. Several Federal Reserve members spoke during the day and expressed concern about how inflation was still a bigger risk to the US economy than labor market weakness, even with private data around employment showing that job cuts continue to climb. That has yet again bumped up the odds of a December rate cut to more than 60%. In other markets, the VIX jumped over 8%, the dollar index fell for a second day, and the 10-year treasury yield gave up all of its gains from the previous session. Spot gold also gave up its earlier gains and closed under $4,000 an ounce for the third straight session, while Brent was on the verge of putting in its second weekly loss on concerns of a coming glut. At home, the rupee finished slightly higher at 88.62 as the dollar index came under pressure after witnessing profit booking just above the psychologically important 100 barrier. Coming to domestic equities, and the Nifty finished 88 points down at 25,510. The India VIX also ended lower for the second day. Mid caps and small caps settled in the red and underperformed the Nifty. More than 4 stocks fell for every stock that rose on the NSE 500. 10 of the 12 NSE sectors slipped, with media the worst performer on the day as it fell 2.5%. IT stocks rose the most, gaining 0.2%. Speaking individual stocks, Asian Paints was the top performer on the Nifty as it rose 4.7%, while Grasim was the biggest loser on the day as it fell 6.3%. Technically speaking, support at 25,449 is now within reach, followed by the critical 25,220 and 25,330 zone. Bulls need a close above the previous session's high to halt and reverse the ongoing drop. Elsewhere, provisional data show that foreigners withdrew nearly 3,300 crores yesterday. The month-to-date outflow is now over 6,200 crores. On to derivatives, and the Nifty's put-call ratio went from 0.75 to 0.77, while that of the Bank Nifty's went from 0.89 to 0.83. Call liquidation in the Nifty was more than the put liquidation that was seen, and implied volatility fell over 180 basis points, which means that at the close, people had turned cautious via the unwinding of long call positions. For options set to expire on November 11th, resistance sits between 25,600 and 700, while support lies between 25,200 and 25,400. Elsewhere, 1% out of money puts fell more compared to the drop seen in similar distance calls, and that means vol traders turned less negative. On to positioning, foreigners remained bearish, prop traders went slightly bullish, and retail investors remained confident. Meanwhile, the index futures net short position of foreigners rose by over 2,000 contracts to nearly 138,000 contracts as bearish bets continued to expand. Looking forward to the upcoming session, the GIFT Nifty opened 43 points down. Asian markets were a sea of red, while S&P 500 futures were up about 0.2%. Coming to stocks, Aster DM Healthcare, Bajaj Finance and Hero MotoCorp were at horizontal support, while Mahindra & Mahindra was at horizontal resistance. Elsewhere, Adani Total Gas, OneSource, Specialty Pharma and Tata Steel were at trendline support, while Emcure was at trendline resistance. Talking about breadth of the NSE 500 constituent members, 44%, 43% and 58% of stocks were above their 50, 100 and 200-day moving averages. The US will see the release of non-farm payrolls, University of Michigan sentiment, and the unemployment rate later today. That is a wrap in the day's podcast. Please note that this podcast serves solely for informational purposes and should not be considered financial advice. For a comprehensive disclaimer, please visit our website. Thank you, and we will see you on Monday at the same time. Have a great weekend.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.